Luke Skywalker was a surprise in the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6 for most fans to be sure. Not as big of a surprise as he was in The Mandalorian Chapter 16, but still a surprise nonetheless. But when Luke Skywalker gave poor innocent Grogu a choice, Beskar chainmail armor or lightsaber, go back to his father Djarin, or stay at the new Jedi Academy for the rest of his life, some fans became livid. How dare they make Luke Skywalker a monster? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Gerald, and I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and you can be a Star Wars fanatic too. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. You can consider joining my channel as a member or joining my Patreon page. And don't forget to drop a comment down below, and I'll pick one comment to highlight at the end of my next video from this video, just as I'm going to do at the end of this video, so stick around to see who is selected. With all that said, let's move on with today's topic. Djarin shows up at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Training Academy, which is still under construction. He has a gift for his foundling son, Grogu, a bit of armor made of Beskar chainmail. Ahsoka convinces Djarin to leave the armor with her and get out of there before Grogu sees him. Seeing Djarin will only make it harder to train the little green fella due to their attachment for each other. But as we progress into the story, we see it's already difficult to train the 50-year-old man-baby. He misses his father, the one who rescued him 3 times, the one who protected him, the one who gave him a shiny ball. And Djarin is feeling the same loss. Then it happened. Luke Skywalker gave Grogu the choice. Take the Beskar armor or the lightsaber of Luke's own Jedi Master, Yoda. But the implications of the choice would be life-altering. Take the Beskar and rejoin his Mandalorian adoptive father, or take the lightsaber and complete his Jedi training, never to see Djarin again. This outraged some die-hard Star Wars fans. The same Luke Skywalker who sought to reform the Jedi Order, knowing that attachments shouldn't be suppressed. Yes, we all know the story, but was this the right move on the part of Luke Skywalker? Should he have given Grogu the choice? Why not let him have both? A Jedi with Beskar would be a force to be reckoned with. Pun intended. But what seems worse, Luke Skywalker asked a toddler to make a life-changing decision. At least this is what it looked like on the outside. Yes, a lot of fans were mad. I was one of those. How dare he give a toddler that kind of decision? We haven't seen the choice Grogu has made yet. Also, on surface level, we feel like we know what he's going to pick. The Beskar makes the most sense out of the gate. Could be a twist, but for the sake of this video, we'll stick with the Beskar. At least when you think of it from a psychological standpoint. Take a toddler from our own world, for instance. What choice do you think they would make if you presented it like this? You have a choice, child. You can either go back to your parents and not be part of this school again, or you can stay here in school and never see your parents again. I know my own kids would pick their family. At least they better. I hope they would. But as special as my kids are to me and your kids are to you, they aren't magical space wizards. We know what our kids would choose because kids don't want to learn school subjects every day for the rest of their lives. Never be able to return. But maybe that was the point of giving Grogu the choice in the first place. Hear me out. In all the expanded universe material, or legends as it's called now, Luke was set on changing the ways of the Jedi Order. He wanted to make it one that wasn't so dogmatic and understood that attachments weren't necessarily a bad thing and sometimes they were needed. I mean, he married Mara Jade. You don't get much more attached than that. But with those ideas comes something deeper and more profound. Was it right to take children from their families to train them and indoctrinate them into the Jedi Order? No matter what good the Jedi set out to do in the galaxy, was the good they were doing enough to counteract the harm they were causing these children? Well, you could say the Jedi Order seemed to thrive under these conditions, and there didn't seem to be a problem with it. And you'd be partially right. Except not really. On one side, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, a well-adjusted Jedi Master who lived for the Order and the Republic. He fell in love, but had to forsake that love for what he believed in the Order and the Republic. Obi-Wan obviously had no issues with being taken from his life before the Jedi Order. On the other hand, you have Count Dooku, a man who was also taken from his family at the request of his father, a father that was embarrassed of what Dooku was. But Dooku had siblings. He longed for his family his entire Jedi career. In fact, he left the Jedi Order after his father died and took over as Count of his home planet Sereno. He could reconnected with his sister and ended up killing his brother. But the point is, Dooku was not well adjusted in the Order. He didn't deal with the loss of his family the way other Jedi had, and ultimately turned to the dark side. The same with Anakin Skywalker. Someone Luke Skywalker would have studied closely. Okay, back to Grogu's choice and why Luke presented it to him. We know Luke studied the Jedi Order of the past. Love it or hate it, he reveals it in The Last Jedi. Also in the game Jedi Fallen Order. To Luke, the reason for their downfall was clear, an unwillingness to adapt, strict dogma, and hubris. So I ask again, then why did he give Grogu the choice based on what he knows didn't work in the past? Keep in mind, my thoughts behind this do still hinge on Grogu deciding the Beskar and his father, but the principles still apply if he chooses the other. Luke knows what Grogu should pick. He agrees that Grogu should return to Din Djarin. Still with me? Alright, keep listening. Luke knows the Jedi of the past were wrong. Taking kids away from their loved ones was not the way to create well-rounded Jedi. Luke himself didn't begin training in the Force until he was 19 years old. Look how he turned out. He had dark side tendencies from day one, but didn't let them take him over completely. Yes, he had moments of weakness like anyone would, but he always came back around and stopped himself. Why? Because he willingly entered the Jedi training. He wasn't forced. Obi-Wan gave him a choice that day in his hut. Sure, he wanted Luke to join him, but he didn't try to force him. He tried to convince him. When Luke was ready, he began the training, not before. The same with Luke Skywalker giving Grogu a choice. It isn't that Grogu is given this ultimatum. Luke wants him to be ready for the training on his own terms, and in his own time. Grogu needs time to heal from his past. With the memories Luke showed Grogu, training the little green guy could end badly. Imagine a Sith with the power of Yoda. That's what could become if Grogu isn't ready to absorb the knowledge and isn't focused on his training. And Luke knows this. He wants Grogu to be sure he's ready, and he knows at this time Grogu is not ready. So when we watch the episode for the first time, it's easy to look at Luke and call him all kinds of bad names for this choice. But in reality, he was helping Grogu. And if Grogu returns to Jedi training later, it'll be with a clear conscience and nothing holding him back. He'll be able to focus and be the best Jedi he can be. One that could even rival Yoda, perhaps. But what do you think? Am I way off base? Is this all just surface level as it looks, and Luke Skywalker's just a dick for making a toddler choose something life-altering? Let me know in the comments below. I do read all of them. Even if I can't respond to all of them, you are noticed and appreciated. And I do take one of the comments to highlight at the end of the next video. Speaking of which, at this time, I'd like to take the time to recognize the top comment from the last video. This comment comes from Paragon Piper. My thought is that Grogu used the Force to kill those troopers, then had his memory suppressed by the Jedi who found him. Perhaps Din had his memories tampered with by someone for important reasons. Something to do with his past. This comment came from a video that asked why Din Djarin doesn't know much about Mandalorian culture, society, creed, and history, especially given that he's an adult for most of the defining moments in recent Mandalorian history. So thank you so much for that plausible explanation, Paragon Piper. You could be onto something there. And thank you to everyone who commented. I really am enjoying the responses I'm getting. For the most part, everyone is being civil, and that's what it's about. How could Star Wars not be fun? This is Gerald from Star Wars Fanatic signing off and wishing you all great health and happiness. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.